Hello all, hope everyone is fine. So in the last video we have done with chapter number 1. So let's proceed chapter number 2. The name of this chapter is Form of Business Organization. Fine. So there are different type of forms are available for businessmen to opt. So before opting, we should aware about the different types of forms available for him or her. So the different type of forms are further is of three types. Major categories are of three types. First one is private sector. He may opt in a private sector. Other one is public sector enterprises, and the last one is joint sector enterprises. The first one is private sector enterprises are the business enterprises which is owned, controlled, managed by the private enterprises are known as a private sector enterprises. These enterprises work with the main motive as earning profit. Fine. For example is Reliance India Limited, Tata, Birla, Wipro, and so many are there. They all are in a private. Second part is public, which is government owned. So public sector enterprises are the business enterprises which are owned, controlled, and managed by the central or the state government are known as in public sector enterprises. Usually they have a main motive of a service motive. They provide their services. Besides will have at least minimum profit. So for example, SAIL, which is known as Steel Authority of India, GAIL is Gas Authority of India's Limited, and so many are again there. We'll further discuss this later on. The last one is joint sector enterprises, in which A other firm, B another firm, they both come together to form a particular business. That is known as other joint ventures, right? So the business enterprise which is owned, controlled, and managed by the private enterprises and the government, right? So government participation may be there or the private. In these enterprises, day-to-day management is lies in the hand of private, whereas government control and supervise properly. You can say guidelines provided by the government itself, what to do and what not. For example, like Maruti Udyog Limited, now the name is changed, is Maruti Suzuki, not Udyog. Fine. So Maruti Suzuki Private Limited, Cochin refineries, etc. So there's a major, but now will come up like that. Suppose if you would need to start up a business, or you can say your father need to start up a business, so he must aware about there are different forms available for him. What are the different? How many? So these are the different forms available for him. Right? No doubt that there's some benefits as well as disadvantage for opting that particular form of business, but the more appropriate and suitable will be best for you. But for to understand what is appropriate for you, you should aware about each and every type of, or you can say form of private business, private sector enterprises. Is it fine? So first, we have to study about the sole proprietorship, the joint Hindu family business, partnership, cooperative societies, and the last one is company. So first of all, we'll start about the sole proprietorship. As we know that the sole proprietorship is written like this: the sole and the proprietorship. The sole proprietorship is made up of two words, two terms. First one is sole. Sole means one, and the proprietor means owner. So sole means one, like one. So there is only a one owner of that particular business, which is also, this term is known as a sole proprietorship. Even the sole proprietor is also known as a sole trader. Fine, he is the only person who will going to trade everything. The business is owned, managed, and controlled by a single individual is known as a sole proprietorship organization. Is it clear to everyone? Fine. And like for example, if we take some examples, sole proprietorship are usually particularly common in the areas like you can say personalized services like hair salon, beauty parlors, like small business, or you can say some small scale business like running a retail shop in a locality. Suppose we have opened a grocery store and you are the only owner. Fine, you are the only one who is working as an owner, means there might be chances you employ one or two employee over there like Chotu and all, right? But the point is you are the only owner for that particular business. Fine. So this is known as sole proprietorship. So let's move ahead about, we study about the features of the sole proprietorship. Very one of the easiest, right? Features means nature and characteristics. Fine. So it is the only which is single owner, like individual all. Find the capital supplied by the single owner, the amount invested by the proprietor itself. So everything he's done. He's there for managing each and everything. The individual risk bearing. Just because he is a single person, so he will definitely going to bear the entire risk. Even the benefit, he will going to all the benefit go in his pocket itself. Fine. If there are any losses, so he will there to bear the same. So this is written in the individual risk bearing, no separate legal entity. Now this is meaning like the term separate legal entity, I'm talking about separate legal entity, it tells about the business is different from businessmen. Fine, they both are different. We not treat them as the same. But as it is written no separate legal entity, to under this circumstances, under this circumstances, in the eyes of the law, no distinctions between made the sole trader and his business. Like a business does not have any identity separate from the owner. The owner is therefore held responsible for all the activities of the business. Fine. So a sole, like written here, a sole proprietor has no legal identity separate from its owner. Law makes no difference between the owner enterprises. The business and the owner exist together, hence go hand in hand. Now the next point is freedom of operations, where there is hardly legal formalities is required, right? So it is absolutely wish of that particular person when to start a business, when to dissolve, like wind it up the business. So it is depend upon his what type of business he need to run or not. So there is absolutely freedom of operations. He don't need to discuss with other people for what he need to do in his business. Fine. So in sole proprietorship firm is there as a minimum government regulation. No legal formalities are required to start, manage and dissolve. Sole trader business. Only a license is necessary in certain types of business. If you enter in certain type of business, so under that circumstances, you need some license. The proprietor enjoy the freedom of sole proprietor concern. Now the term, please mark this. This is one of the important feature of sole proprietorship. The term is unlimited liability. Mark this, right? This is really important. Unlimited liability, that means if you are running a sole proprietorship business, that means you are personally liable for all the debt of the business. Fine. So if the business assets are not sufficient to meet the business liability, suppose if the business assets are not sufficient to meet the business liability, under that circumstances, the proprietor may have to sell his personal property to pay off those liability. To pay off those liability. So personal assets B you have to need to pay. Like if we take example, like for example, there is a Mr. A, named Mr. A, who's running sole proprietor business. You can say he's running a one grocery store near his locality, local area. As Mr. A is running a grocery store. So suppose the total outside liability of Mr. A sole proprietorship firm is rupees 6 lakhs. How much? 6 lakhs. Okay. At the time of dissolution, suppose at the time of dissolve, business is about to shut. So business close करते वक्त, at the time of dissolution, but its assets are 4 lakh only. So the liability is of rupees 6 lakhs, but हम पे assets कितनी है? What is the value of the entire assets? Is rupees 4 lakh only. In such situation, the proprietor will have to bring 2 lakh. So because the deficit of 2 lakh is arises, so now in that situation, bring rupees 2 lakh from his personal source. Even he to sell his personal property to repay the firm debt. Firm debt means just because he's sole proprietor, so personal assets may also go and sold in the market to repay those loans or borrowings. Fine. Is it clear? Now we'll move ahead. So mark this, you should aware about what is unlimited liability. One man control, as we know that he's the only person, he have a full control, and just because of ownership, he have the management lies in his hand only. So some person, manager may be employed to help the owner, but ultimately the control will lies in the hand of sole trader himself. Small business, as I told you that it is only suitable for your area of personalized services. Fine, to personalized services you may provide it, or you can say small scale business. But because all fund is managed by the only one person, entire fund is managed by the one person, total management and control lies with the one person only. Sole trader can arrange, if he need to arrange the funds in a very limited sense. So very just because of his limited ability, managerial ability is there, therefore scale of operation is small, is opted in certain type of business. Next point is formation and closure. We know that there hardly formalities, or you can say no legal formalities or much formalities is required, so it is very easy to start and very easy to close. There is no separate law governing this, so there is no, again the one important point is no law for the sole proprietorship, any law. Only it is some cases license must be required, fine, otherwise forming and closing is very simple. Lack of business continuity. Lack of business continuity means your business will not going further if something went wrong with that particular sole proprietor. Fine, if in case of death of that particular sole proprietor, your compulsion will be there that you need to shut down your business, as simple as it is this. So there is lack of business continuity. So we are done with these features. Now we'll move towards what are the advantages of sole proprietorship. So first point is easy to form and dissolve, as we discussed in the features. So features tells about is what is there, it maybe tells about the merits or demerits, fine, but when we study about the merits, so we need it, or we have to very specific that we're going to provide the benefits arising from that particular form of business, fine. So the point is already discussed, this is very easy to form and dissolve wherever, it's absolutely depend upon the wish of the sole proprietor or sole trader. The next point is direct incentive. As we know that I told you that all the entire profit will go in the pocket of that particular person, that means sole proprietor. So direct incentive, due to this he is highly motivated to perform for the betterment of its business, because he is the only person who will get entire benefit from the business, fine. The next point is flexibility. As we know that all the decision making power is already only is lie with the hand of sole proprietor. That is absolutely depend upon that he'll going to discuss with his employees or not, or even if the discussion is not take so long. In case of emergency, he's the only person who need to take decisions, call for a particular or immediate situation, so he may take any decisions. And due to this reason, they adapt business environment so fast. If anything change in business environment, so under that in this type of business or this form of business, they can easily accept the changes because he's the only person, fine. So it leads to a quick decision making, and immediate action can be taken with the bring flexibility of operation. So there is a high flexibility of operation. If anything change in our environment, so they'll going and opt it just because of high flexibility is available. Sole beneficiary of profit, again this is sole ऊपर लिखा था direct incentive. So due to direct incentive, highly motivated, and here is the only same person, so everything is belongs to him, that's it. Personal touch. What is the meaning of personal touch? Personal touch means that sole proprietor himself come into contact with its customers, directly come in contact. That term is known as personal touch. So here written is, so the sole proprietorship firm, generally all the work is carried out by the proprietorship himself. So as he maintain a direct contact with the customers and the employees and can make changes product according to the demand and the expectation of the customer. So he's definitely a link with the customers. So what are the customers are expecting from us? What are the changes I need to bring? So I definitely can work upon it with the immediate effect. Like secrecy, as he don't want to discuss with all his secret with anyone. So there is a high level of secret is there. So a sole proprietor even not share his secret with other. There is no legal compulsion to share of his publish his account. Like in case of company, we need to establish or we need to communicate the result with the people. Fine. तो जनरल पीपल को हमने क्या करना पड़ता है? We need to disclose our balance sheet. But in case of sole proprietor, nothing like that. No legal compulsion is there. All decisions are taken by the proprietor. So it is very easy to maintain secrecy and better competitive stand. So whatever the competitive edge you have in the market, you don't need to discuss with anyone else. Fine. The next point is independent control. Independent control is absolutely you don't need to stick with anyone else. You have your decision making power. You have all the authority lies in your hand. So that's why you have independent control. Suitable for the small business, I already opt just because of a limited capital you have and lack of skills, because a single person don't have that much skills. So it is much better that it's suitable for the small scale operations. Sense of accomplishment, as there is a personal satisfaction involved working for oneself. देखो accomplishment like that we feel good that we are working for myself. I'm not working for anyone else. The more efforts I'll plot in or put in my business, there'll definitely ultimately come rewards to me. So that is a sense of accomplishment means. Now move towards the disadvantage or the demerits of sole proprietorship. As we discuss about that particular person have very limited fund or limited resource. Fine. So due to there is a limit of credit, even that person if even look for the taking loan from the bank. So the credit worthiness of that particular person is limited. Fine. So the credit limit is also there. So definitely going to this going to reduce in the growth aspect of the business. So he won't go and make the large scale business. The fund is not sufficient for a middle scale or medium scale and the large scale business. The drawback is unlimited liability. As I told you, personal asset is liable. Personal asset क्या हो जाएंगे? Liable for the payment of debt if in case our assets is not fulfill or you can say completely pay off the debt. तो पर्सनल असेट भी हमारे क्या हो जाएंगे? लाइबल हो जाएंगे टू पे ऑफ द debt of the business. Limited manager skill, as we know that one single person is not perfect in all the cases. Like for example, if we talk about we have opened a grocery store, so that person is very good in marketing skills, but there may be lacking of the financial decisions to be taken. There may be lacking of maintaining a proper account. So that kind of problem is faced by the sole proprietor person just because he is the only person. So no person may gain specialized in multiple fields. So due to this reason, it has lead to the limited managerial skill. So sole proprietor all the activities are performed by the single individual. A single individual cannot be expert in all the fields. He may be good in sales, but not as in good manager or accountant, you can say. Fine. Now there is a limited scope of expansion as we have a very limited capital. So there is a very limited scope for expansion. We'll have to stick to the small scale operations only. If we think about that we need to expand our business, then this will be not suitable form of business for you. Limited life of a business, as we said, this is a limited life of a business. If anything went wrong to that particular individual or you can say the owner, then it is the high time that we need to shut down our business as we have no alternative left. So this is what written here: the survival and the continuity of sole proprietorship firm depend upon the one person. The sole proprietor falls ill, or become insolvent. What is the meaning of insolvent? Insolvent means the person is incapable of paying off the debts. So he is incapable of paying off the debts of the business. That person is known as a sole proprietor, insolvent. Then business may come to an end. So this is the drawback: limited resource, limited managerial skills, limited of a business, limited life of business, unlimited liability, limited expansion. So there's all 4 points are limited except limited. This is the unlimited liability, and this is a really important point. Fine. So we are done with this one type of, or you can say form of business in this video, that is sole proprietor. In the next video we're going to study about the joint Hindu family. Till then, take care and please go through my video sincerely. Thank you.